All right. So why is this working? Let me give you a few things to explain why multi-site is working, and I'll try to be quick about this. I think one thing that we're seeing about multi-site is clearly an increase in outreach. In our situation, I've already explained that, 8 years, we've seen our growth times 6. We just finished, through our New Thing Network coaching, we're working with the Virginia Baptist Mission Board. They want us to work with their 30 top churches, 5 at a time. We got a chance to work with 4 of their churches there in the last year. 4 of those churches started 5 new sites in the last year. And I mean, it dramatically increasing their outreach. I think what also happens as it increased outreach, there's a shift in values that happen that are very much, I think, good news for the church, and why a lot of leaders are attracted to this. What happens is it begins to sharpen your missional mindset. And I think that's happened for us as a church. I was driving down Ogden Avenue the other day with my daughter. Okay, she's 16. We drove past an old Menards hardware store. It was closed up. We drive past it. She sees a box there. What's her reaction? That's exactly right. I go, hey, couldn't we start a site there? That's my daughter. I'm not kidding. You just start seeing the whole world different. Everything just looks like a new place where you can start a church. All your staff, all your leaders begin thinking themselves as spiritual entrepreneurs. For example, and I love this, the guy who started our first site, okay, Troy, well, let me tell you a different story. The guy who was at our largest site, John, when we got ready to start a brand new site down in Shorewood, he comes to me and says, hey, can I be the guy to go start that brand new site? Because the value isn't at the center, the value is on the edge. The value isn't with the found, the value is on the lost. And the value is not staying, but the value is in going. And so you have your best people that are working on your newest things and your most important things. I think this third thing that also happens, another shift, is strategically we start to think more proactively and not just reactively. I think that happens with multi-site churches in particular. We don't start a new site because we ran out of space. We only have one service right now out of our 20-some services. Actually, we're out of space. We start new locations and new services because we know as we mobilize people, we'll be able to reach more people. It's a proactive thing, not just a reactive because we ran out of parking and ran out of classrooms or ran out of seats to put people in. Okay? So the first thing there, an increased outreach. The second thing that's also happened is more involved followers. And what happens is you begin to broaden your impact. For us, because we were multi-site, we actually were able to start another location in Carillon, which is a seniors golf gated community. You have to be 55 and over there. It's a senior community center there, and they charge us a whopping $100 a week to meet there. And it's a great deal for us. But the awesome thing is we're seeing people in their 70s and 80s making commitments to Christ and getting baptized. And we're a predominantly very young church, but because we're multi-site, we're actually able to broaden, like we're talking here, our impact. Not only able to, and I could go more on that, not only are we able to broaden our impact, we're also talking about broadening our number of volunteers. Every time we start a new site, we develop this tool. It's a glorified Excel spreadsheet. We call it a matrix. And we figure out how many blanks there represent how many people we need to start that new location. We put that in front of people and say, all right, here's all the leaders we need for kids, for students, adults, and the arts, ministry teams. And we just say, we're going to be praying about this. And as you feel like God's calling you to go, we're going to put your name in there. And I'll tell you what, there's something about the vision and creating the opportunity that just calls more people into service. And it will broaden the number of volunteers you have. I'll tell you a third thing it also has done on this. It also will broaden your brand. This last location we just started 4 weeks ago in Yorkville, some good stuff happened. And we had people come to us and say this. This is why I'm kind of been listening for this for a while now. They said, it's about time you got here. It's about time you got here. And part of our dream is we want to develop a brand of church that's so compelling. A brand of church is so compelling that unchurched people, when we finally come to their community, will say, oh man, it's about time you finally got here. Does that make sense? And I think that requires a whole different kind of thinking about church, and probably a whole different thinking about how we're going to use those facilities for the community, if they're really going to be like glad that we finally showed up, because they know that when we're there, it's just going to make their community that much better. All right? Let me give you one more thing, too. I think it's also a third thing. I think it's also an improved quality. When we talk about, for us, and I'll compare it to church planning, when we started our church, there was, we had a piano player and we had a guitar player. We didn't have a drummer, and we had to pay for that. We had to pay a vocalist from Willow Creek to come down and sing for us. There's all kinds of things like that as far as the program. It just was not that good. By the time we started our second location, we reproduced everything. We had a full band, we had full video, we had a theater team, and we had 2 of them, and it was terrific. The same thing was true with our children's experience. The same thing is true with our hospitality. I'm going to kind of go down the list on that.